what this is all about.
All right, we've all been fairly warned. Whatever you
Okay.
say, be
Keep the language clean.
posterity. And Mac McClure is with us, at least for a little bit. I think Mac said you need to jump off. Did you want to say hello to the group, Mac? Introduce yourself. Okay, he must be otherwise occupied. And then Alyssa Evans Torino, who's our club executive director. Did you want to say hi, Alyssa?
Hey, it's Alyssa, I'm the executive director of the Rotary Club. I am currently driving, so that's why I have my camera off, but I'm so glad you guys joined us today for this session.
Thanks, Alyssa, and thanks for setting this up. Well,
Allison, I'm back. I couldn't get my microphone to work.
No worries. You want to say hi?
Mac McClure, been in the club since 1973.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, you club hopper.
Well, that's it. It's always fun to make up. Of late, I've been doing a lot of Zooms with Jeffersonville because of all the action over there because of River Ridge. And it's really fascinating because the action for the next 15 or 20 years is across the river. And we can say it's now Metro Louisville instead of just Louisville.
Are you working on the new park project?
Helping out on that some, and then the other is it's been fun to network KIPTA information, City of Louisville information with Indiana information, because it's obvious they don't talk to each other. On the go-between and finding information for the state senator, Ron Grooms, who's from Jeffersonville, who's a wonderful person.
Well, fascinating. That's great role for you. You're a natural connector in all ways, so that's good. Well, Steve, I'm going to share my screen and we can get started if you want. You want to introduce you? And
Sure, let me introduce myself. Yeah, I'm Steve Eggers. I'm the Service Project Committee Chair. It's about my third or fourth year doing that. So I'm starting to learn how to do it. It's a little more complex this year because we've got actually more projects than we have money for. But we're working on prioritizing those and trimming them here and there to get within budget. But we'll talk about the process. Well, more about the projects today than the process. So Alice and I are going to tag team this. So I'll let you introduce yourself, Alice.
yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Alice Bridges, and I'm a former club president. I have a background in healthcare. My focus now is in a consulting practice, and I do a lot of work around addressing social determinants of health through community-based initiatives, and really have a passion for service. So I'm delighted that I have an opportunity to help share a little bit with you about how our club activates people to really live our motto of service above self. This serve to change lives is the logo, the motto for Rotary for the upcoming Rotary year. Each year Rotary adopts a new motto as the theme, and this year it's serve to change lives. So what a great fit for our conversation today. And as you all, both new members and seasoned members, look to get the most out of Rotary, obviously service is at the heart of what we're all about, making a lasting difference and making change, not only in ourselves through our work in Rotary, but also in our community and then also around the world. And Steve has done such a great job of activating our club to be effective in doing that. So really excited to tag team with him on this. Steve, did you want to talk a little bit about Rotary International's areas of focus?
Yeah, on the screen is all the service projects that are submitted are really have to touch one of these topics, if you will. Just run down the list real quickly here. Promoting peace, disease prevention and treatment, water sanitation and hygiene, which I'll talk a little bit later about some of our projects that we've done this past year that are global in nature, and they really focus a lot on water sanitation and hygiene, a real issue worldwide. Maternal and child health, basic education, literacy, community economic development, and a new one that's been added this year or last year, protecting the environment. So I was really pleased to see that one. It's obviously become a more pertinent topic this past year for a lot of reasons. And so we've got some projects that are coming out that will begin to focus on that or touch that. So
Yeah, tell them about your role with the Sustainability Council.
yeah, I didn't really introduce myself other than to tell you what I did in Rotary, but I'm actually a retired partner with K. Norman Berry Associates Architects. And when I was in Bingham Fellows in 2010, the topic was how do you make Louisville a national green leader? So if you know that process, you're together for about 9 to 10 months, and you come up with an idea how to make that happen. Well, we came up with the idea of the Louisville Sustainability Council, which would be kind of what we found was there were a lot of groups doing things in sustainability, but there wasn't a kind of an overall umbrella group that could kind of connect those various groups and synergies and bring them together. So we actually now just celebrated our 10th year. I've been chair for a number of years, and now I'm emeritus, which I kind of like. But we've got a really good board this year, and got a lot of good stuff going on. So we're actually putting out Rotary supported LSE, and part of that funding we've been able to actually make grants to small grants to people locally for sustainability. So we just issued that this past year, and it'll be an ongoing process each year. So that's exciting. We're starting to really get some boots on the ground. So we're going to kind of switch back and forth, but I thought part of this presentation is something Luke Schmidt had put together for a presentation earlier this year. And this is an interesting chart because the Rotary Fund, there's a Rotary, there's a Rotary Club and there's a Rotary Fund, two separate nonprofits. The Rotary Fund is the portion that funds the projects, obviously. So over the years, each club around the United States is asked to support by, I think it's $100 per member per year. And that gets a certain ranking for those clubs, and also gets you more potential district grants, matching grants for our projects. So as you can see, it's steadily gone up except for that 1 year. But it's done well, and it generates the monies that we use to fund these projects. And this year, it's a formula based on an average of the monies over the years. And I think it's just under $120,000 that was able to be put towards funds projects this year. And then there's also carryover monies that weren't spent last year because of pandemic. A lot of our programs that were budgeted didn't happen, but that money will roll over into this year. So we've actually got about $180,000 to put towards projects this year. So
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, Steve, that in terms of the every Rotarian every year, the hope is that every Rotarian will make that minimum gift of $100 to the Rotary Foundation, which is Rotary's international nonprofit that funds those 7 areas of focus, and $100 to the Rotary Fund of Louisville, which is our local nonprofit. And that's the fuel in the tank that makes all the work that we're going to talk about today possible. And as Steve said, and you'll see it in the charts that come, we can plus up our local investments with funds from Rotary International when we achieve that baseline.
So we're just going to kind of show where this money goes to, and it goes in different areas, local, national, global, and it's really interesting. That's one of the things that you don't really realize when you first join Rotary, that it's, you know, we got one of the largest clubs in the world, I believe, but we're part of an international group of Rotary clubs, and so some of our monies actually gets sent for global projects in disadvantaged areas. So we'll touch on those today too. These projects are from this current fiscal year, which will roll over July 1. And as I said, we're right now we're right in the middle of the transition. We're starting to evaluate the projects that are being submitted for this year that'll be presented to the board and to the Rotary Fund Board in early July. A number of these are repeat projects, local projects. They go, you know, carried over from each year. I want to talk a little bit about the Promise Scholarship program, which I believe, Alice, that was started for the 100th anniversary of the club.
It was done for the 100th anniversary of our club. Yeah.
Right, about 5-6 years ago, I guess. And so it's been a focus to focus on Western and Iroquois high schools and provide not just financial support, but mentoring support at those schools. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic last year, the mentoring didn't happen too well. We've had some Zoom calls that didn't work out too well, but I think we'll be more back face to face this year. So I think there's, hopefully, as you hear these projects, there's opportunities to be involved in all of these in some form or fashion. So, but the Promise Scholarship program, which is, as I say, has gone on now for about 5 years, has been adopted now by the by JCPS as Evolve 502, which is pretty exciting because this program is really basically created the template for that program to take on. What that means is instead of two high schools, it's going to any high school in Jefferson County that a student that graduates will be eligible for a scholarship. And so that's pretty amazing. Although we will still, as I understand it, we'll still be focused on, we'll still be involved with those 2 schools primarily. But that's a ongoing program for Rotary, and it's been I think a great success. Some of these kids are actually taking college credits right now while they're in high school. And there's one young lady that was interested in architecture, so I had a couple architects in my office and myself talked to her by Zoom. She's already got, I think, 2 years of college already. It's pretty incredible. So it's been a great program, and I think there's a lot of interest in it to continue on and encourage anybody interested in mentoring, particularly, to get involved in that. Speech contest, that's kind of a ongoing project that happens each year. Unsung Heroes and the Ted Burke scholarships. But a lot of that scholarship money, but what's kind of neat about it, the unsung heroes are the maybe not the kids with the highest grades, but the kids that are most involved in their schools. And I've had a chance to kind of review some of those applications, and it's tough to narrow it down in between 3 kids in one high school. But there's a lot of good happening in schools, and it's kind of it's nice to be able to shine a light on it and be able to promote that. Rotaract and Interact, those are a college and high school Rotary programs, which I don't think have been that active for our club the last couple of years, but I know that the education committee this year is wants to rev it back up. So that's good. I think that's really important. Education is such an integral issue in any community, and it's something Rotary's focused on with our efforts. Educational justice grants, those are grants that are kind of tied into the Promise Scholarship program, but it provides, identifies mentors at the higher class level that support and mentor younger kids in the school. So we've tried to support that with grants to these kids that really are helping their classmates come up the ladder. So, Imagination Library of Louisville, you probably heard of that. It's a Dolly Parton national organization that we funded last year, and it's being requested funding again for this year. It provides books to kids throughout the year to give them, and I think they even give them a bookshelf, if I'm not mistaken. They can put their books on, which is kind of an interesting. So that's another program that's been funded by us, ongoing this year. And these are local projects, keep that in mind. Louisville Sustainability Council, I mentioned, the summit was partially funded, and along with these grants to be given out. It's kind of the fun for the arts approach, if you will, for identifying organizations that can educate people about sustainability. I think we had about 10 or 12 applicants, and we gave 5 grants away. Let's see, Life Change Project. If any of you know Larry Sloan, he's a real dynamo in the club, and his Life Change Committee is very active. They were able to fund and I think match some equipment costs for a shelter in downtown Louisville. And then they also have a monthly meal program that they go in and not just take the meals in, but they sit and talk and learn about the individuals. And I know he's always looking for folks to kind of help out in that program. There's new member celebration. That's what we're going to celebrate you all with. Hopefully, couldn't do it last year but because of COVID, but I'm sure we'll do it again, get it revved up again this year. Then every year, the president has an opportunity to identify a priority. And this year, Julie Schmidt identified the DePaul School, the HUG reading program, and Trees Louisville. I know HUG, I don't know what that stands for, Alice, but I know that person spoke at one of our meetings. It was a pretty impressive program, what they do with young kids in terms of reading. So went ahead and supported them, again, education. For Family Community Clinic, I mentioned Jeremy and I worked together on that project down on St. Joseph's Catholic Church. This was actually for an equipment purchase that they needed. And I think we matched with Norton Foundation on a matching grant to purchase a piece of equipment for them. It's an incredible facility. Mayor Fisher's father actually is the founder of that. It was his idea, and it's a free clinic, no questions asked. It's pretty interesting. I think Jeremy would agree. It's pretty amazing what they do down there. Then we've supported the West End School last year. We're supporting them again this year. You see on the right-hand column, there's a district match. I think we can have 2 projects that the district will match up to $3,000 on that have to be prioritized. So that was one of them last year. The Community Impact Committee is a committee that really, I guess Luke Schmidt, past president, established initially to deal with graffiti in downtown. It was just kind of you drive through downtown and highways, it's just an eyesore. But that was quickly changed to deal with a lot of the unrest that happened in the community last year. And that we realized as a club, we needed to really understand how we can help, or where we can help at the best way possible. So that committee has got, I think, up to 40 people on it now. And over the last year, we had 2 Saturday sessions, all-day sessions, and talked with community leaders throughout Louisville, and got a lot of good feedback. And it's actually this year we're beginning to generate projects. And I want to mention about some of those maybe at the end about what's being proposed for this year. It's pretty exciting and very impactful. But the Hope Wellness Clinic, we did support them last year. Clinics in the West End are few and far between. And again, Larry Sloan, he identified this group and felt it was worthy of support because of what they do and the support they give their community. And I know they're on our list again this year. Human trafficking issues, big problem. And I know a couple of years ago, Barry Barker, when he was president, that was his focus. And we've continued to sponsor some of their summits and send members there to be educated over what the issues are and problems. Current global grants, again, it's amazing that here in Louisville, we're supporting projects in El Salvador and around the world with other clubs. But in this case, this is a global grant is actually that Rotary International provides funding for this along with some other clubs throughout the United States. But the potable water and clean water and sanitation is a big problem, and we've supported, as you can see on this sheet, in El Salvador and Guatemala, but then actually locally in the state, Leslie County, Kentucky. If I remember right, I think this came about because some of these projects carry over from year to year, but I think Leslie County was hit pretty hard by a tornado several years ago, and really wiped out a lot of their infrastructure. So I think we went in with Lexington, and there's a district match as well to help support kind of our own backyard here. So, okay.
Yeah, all 3 of these show projects, I think, that were collaborations with other clubs in the United States. So it's a neat opportunity for Rotary clubs to come together. And I think in each of these instances, there has to be a Rotary club also on the ground in the location where the project's being done. So it's not being done 2 people or 4 people, but with people. And so in El Salvador, Guatemala, and in Leslie County, there would be a Rotary group that is a responsible partner and really making sure the community is leading the way, and that Rotary is the wind beneath their wings.
And the other thing about that's a lot of the members of our club go to these sites. Rick Harnage is one; he's very active in the international committee, and several others that have made trips just to really see these things firsthand. And we had a great presentation, at one of the meetings about, what occurred and what they did. So, this Mayan Power and Light, I think it's been around a little while, but I believe it's a micro grant program that we were involved with the foreign clubs with. And again, clean water in Kenya and Uganda. I think both those African countries, we teamed up with the, if I remember right, the Los Angeles club, and there's a very activist individual there that really bird dogs this thing and is over there, and a lot of our members have got to know him and have been to some of these sites with him. So it's again just such an overwhelming need for clean water and clean sanitation. At the bottom there, I guess this past year there were approval of $155,000 worth of projects, and as I said, some of these didn't occur, and that some of that money rolls over to this year. So, but when you look in terms of distribution of how these projects are funded, local projects are about 70%, and non-local projects about 30%. The international committee is very active and identify a lot of projects and probably very on top of things. I get a lot of their applications. So, okay.
Yeah. So just picking up that thread in terms of, I've been really fortunate to be the project lead on a number of service projects locally, and that is a requirement for projects in our club, is that there be a Rotarian involvement. So we're not just our club doesn't just give funds typically to causes. We want to have skin in the game and people who are actually making a contribution to making the initiative happen. As Steve mentioned, we're in the process right now as a club of under Steve's leadership of vetting requests for projects to be service projects to be funded. This is the time of year when those things are put together so that we're decisions are made and we're ready to go when the new Rotary year starts in July. Typically, project needs to go through a committee. So there's the first step is finding a committee that it fits with, and that they would want to champion that particular project. And then there's an application that is put together for the committee, and then ultimately for the Rotary Fund and the Rotary Club board to ultimately review and approve or decline if it isn't able to go forward. And as Steve said, we've got this year probably more projects than we have resources available to fund, partly because of the amazing work that's been done over the last year to identify community needs and where Rotary could make a difference. And there's a real desire, I think, strategically for our club to find ways to partner with other organizations in having real impact and not just being a lone ranger to do projects alone. The fun part is getting stuff done. So I wanted to show some pictures from a project that I did last Rotary year at St. Benedict Early Childhood Education Center, which is located in the California neighborhood in West Louisville. They serve that community beautifully with really high quality early childhood education, but had sort of a tired play area and that they wanted to convert into a natural play space. And we were able to assist them in getting this project going. It actually was the first phase of a complete renovation of all of their playgrounds. We focused on the infants and toddler playground area, and that these are the before pictures. Here's some shots of Rotarians turning out to work. We did a fair amount of labor in addition to purchasing equipment and supplies for this project, and also did some tree planting. So brought a lot of the green elements that are important to our club to bear in this project. And here's a picture of some of the after of what we were able to make happen. And we were able to get a nice little sign to acknowledge our Rotary Club's involvement in making this project possible. So I'm really proud of that. And we have many Rotarians who've done amazing service projects and brought forward good ideas through the committee process for our club to get involved with. So we're glad that you all are learning how this process goes, so you can potentially replicate that. I think the most important thing, is to get involved, to kind of see the process firsthand, make those connections, and begin to get involved. An easy one is the Salvation Army bell ringing, which we do every year. It requires like 2 hours of your time on a Saturday to ring the bell for Salvation Army. And it's a wonderful way to get to know other people in our club outside of being over lunch. It's a whole different setting and a great way to meet other people and do a good service project for our community. There's a picture here of Kathy Knotts, who's doing mentoring with students. I'm not sure if she's at Western or Iroquois High School, but that's another great way to get involved, and you don't have to do it all the time. They've established a way for people to be mentors that have, just limited time slots available. So I think, you can get involved to the level that you want to based on your own schedule and availability. There's a picture of Denise Sears doing an overseas trip. That's certainly going all in, as Steve talked about, Rotarians who are going overseas and being involved in our service projects. But there's an opportunity just upcoming at the end of the month on June 26th, where you don't have to travel anywhere except for West Louisville to be involved in Repair a Fair. That picture at the top right is a group of Rotarians doing Repair a Fair a couple of years ago. I'll be there this year helping out. I think the jobs are, it's a amazing work of New Directions Housing Corporation to help people retain their homes by providing minor repairs and home improvements. And there's 3 homes, I think, that our Rotary Club's been assigned to do some, certainly low talent work. If I'm involved, it doesn't require a lot of skills to be there and do some improvements on these homes. And so we're looking for additional people who might want to be part of our Repair a Fair this year. If you're interested in checking out a service project, that's a great one to jump into on June 26th. I think they're going to start about 9 in the morning, and you can stay as long as you can. Larry Sloan's Lifeline Committee is the sponsor of that. So if you're interested, contact Larry Sloan so that you can get connected and participate in Repair a Fair this year. So with that, I'll stop sharing, and we can just kind of open it up to your questions and some conversation.
I also wanted to maybe just touch on some of the pending future projects, just so you know kind of what's coming up too. As I said, the Community Impact Committee is very active, and I'm on the Education Committee, so I'm a little more familiar with that. But there's a project that we're doing with JCBS with the NAACP, which is pretty interesting. It's going to be a collaborative effort, and it's a new educational project at Louisville and I think Los Angeles. Were selected this year nationally for this. It's called the 3DE, and it's an integrated way to teach, various English, math, science, because there's an integral thread between all of them. So it becomes more, you're more in context with one of them. So that's exciting. We're going to be involved in that. We just got through putting together the case study for it with the 3DE people. So that'll be, I think, in January of next year is when we get involved. And I won't even try to explain this one, but Denise Sears and Luke Schmidt been heavily involved with the West Louisville Housing Initiative. Housing and being able to buy that first house and start to build wealth was one of the key things that came out of those 2 days of summit that we had, or the 2 days of discussion we had with community leaders. So they've really got something cooking there that's going to really could be a national standard. I'm sure you'll hear more about that as that moves forward. Shawnee Dental Clinic, number of projects down there that Larry Sloan's involved in. Hope Wellness Center again. Could be a habitat house, which we haven't done for a couple of years. And then I'm not sure I can explain this one, Alice, but I know Jean West has got the steamboat project that she's announced at Rotary, I think, recently. And it's going to be a pretty big deal. It's going to originate in Louisville, but it's going to go by steamboat down to, I think, St. Louis. And it'll engage multiple Rotary clubs along the way, along the river, to help, basically, I guess, to do service projects in each community. I know.
Yeah, it's the first time that there's been a sort of a multi-district, multi-club service initiative coordinated like this, and using the river and collaborating with the American Steamboat Company they're actually chartering a cruise that will, as Steve said, go up and down the Ohio River and engage Rotary clubs in 5 ports. So it's a really cool project and a neat way to tie into Rotary's new focus on environmental, protecting the environment as one of the areas of focus.
I think Jean said, I guess the question is what's with the steamboat? Why are they involved? And apparently, they're on the river, all up and down the river, and they said there's so much pollution and litter that's why they really want to get engaged. And I know that's something that locally that's going to be the focus of our club for our service project for that committee.
Well, we might have lost Jeremy. Robert, is there any questions that you had about the way our club approaches service that you'd like us to address?
No, ma'am. I'm a longtime Rotary member, but been a member of the Louisville Club for about a year now. So this is really my first exposure to all the different projects. So this has been a great learning experience for me. So I'm glad to know that there are so many projects the club has and opportunities for me to get involved. So thank you so much for the education today.
Where were you in Rotary previously, Robert?
I was in Dallas for a period of time, and then more long-term and more recently in Nashville, Brentwood Club.
Any particular areas that you're interested in? I know you're obviously in healthcare. Is that where you want to focus, or do you like to use your Rotary time to do something different?
Oh, no, I don't. I enjoy the health benefit, but I really like just getting to know people on different projects, working on projects. So it could be basically any project. It's more the collegiality and getting to know folks, the service for the community. So thanks for educating me today.
You're welcome.
Are you
Henry,
trying
was
to
there
get
anything in particular that you wanted to learn?
I'm curious about the mentoring program. It's always been of interest to me, but I'm wondering what an 80-year-old white guy who's probably could be a grandfather to any of these kids, whether there's really a role for someone like me in that program.
Definitely. I mean, it gets down to basic things like how to shake hands, how to talk to people, and how to interview. And what's nice about it is Walt Kunow has really championed this last several years, and he's put together an excellent teaching guide. So you're not just going in there unprepared. There's a lot of, it's pretty structured and it's good. And these kids really appreciate the time spent with us. You can tell.
I think your, your work would resonate with a lot of the students, Henry, in terms of your, your experiences. It's like Steve said, they had a student recently who's interested in becoming an architect, but didn't know any architects. Some of these kids just need a role model and someone to kind of bounce ideas off of and test test out a little bit about where they want to go. So I think you would be a wonderful asset to meet these kids.
How is the mentoring program set up? How do you specifically spend your time with the kids?
It's usually early in the morning. It's get there around 8:30, I guess, till 9 something. I guess it's right before school starts. And it's usually in the cafeteria, and you might be talking to 2 or 3 kids. And like I say, there's a workbook, and they're given, they're somewhat prepared to come and talk about the topic of the day, and it varies. Each I don't know if it's monthly or how frequently, but there's a specific topic to discuss, and the counselors out there do a good job in terms of getting the kids ready. So, I just suggest you just give it a try. And
Walt Kunow can give you the scoop more. I think is Walt still, Alyssa, is Walt still coordinating that, or is there someone else that he's tasked to do that?
No, right now he's still coordinating it, and I think he intends to do so through at least next year. Now, when he becomes president of the club, he may choose somebody else to kind of run that program during his year.
And not to belabor this mentoring program, which sounds like a terrific program, but how are the kids selected in it? Is it something the kids want to do, or they're selected to be part of it? How does that work?
Well, the kids have to, agree to certain measurable levels. I mean, in terms of discipline, of course, grades and attendance. And so they start out in the 9th grade, and they go up the ladder. But the kids are, if they're in there, most of them, what I've talked to, are pretty well motivated to learn.
Is that the case? I haven't done it before. So in terms of mentoring all the kids that are in those mentoring sessions, are they ones who are in they've opted in, they've met the attendance and the just all the standards in terms of being a Rotary Promise Scholar?
That's my understanding, and I'm not, I've just volunteered several times, and I don't know all the organizational elements, but I've met some of the counselors, and they seem to run herd on everybody to kind of keep them focused on, and to appreciate that people making an effort to come out to see them, so they should take advantage of that. And I'd say it's worth just dipping your toe in it and try it.
Yeah, maybe I'm jaundiced from some experience I had when I lived in Chicago. I was involved with a mentoring program in an inner city grade school. And there the problem was it was a rare kid who can step out among his peers and be willing to take this kind of help, because the rest of his peers or her peers are saying, what are you, goody two shoes? Or are you gonna, you seem to be stepping away, or feel like you're better than us somehow.
I don't. Most of the kids you mentor are really older, are in the, they're in the 11th and 12th grade, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So by then they're thinking about. I mean, they're motivated. They want to continue on. I don't get that feeling at all. I know what you're saying, but it sounds like those are a lot younger kids, and these are a little more mature. And
yeah.
So.
No, it sounds like a good program, and I will indeed find out more about it and take a look at it.
Jeremy, was there anything that, I know we lost you for a minute.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you wanted to learn that we didn't cover, or any questions you had about what we did cover?
Well, first of all, sorry, we had a power outage, so everything went black.
Of
But
course.
we're back up and running now, all is well. No, that was great. I think it was a really nice piggyback off of the committee meeting that we had last time. It seems like that might be a good starting point for me at least, to figure out where I fit from a committee standpoint. But all great projects.
Good. What committee are you interested in?
You know, I was looking for my notes from that last meeting. I do remember writing down the Rotary Interact
Okay,
as something that I could see myself in, and there were a few others too. I just don't have my notes.
good. Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's like anything, getting beyond just the luncheons and our meetings are like the core, but that doesn't get you very deep in terms of actually feeling that you're getting something deeply satisfying out of it. So
Can you talk a little bit about the helping with people's maintenance and patching up, minor patch ups?
Yep.
What can a group of volunteers who have virtually no skills do in a day?
yeah, I think actually some pretty significant work. The way they organize it, there's, it's like, well, how do volunteers build a habitat house? Well, it's someone who really knows what they're doing tells you what to do. This is lower threshold than that, and I think most of the projects are going to be outdoor maintenance jobs. So painting, there'll probably be some painting involved, and I don't know all the. Actually, I do have I can send it to you. I think there's a summary of what the work is going to be on the 3 houses we're going to work on, Henry, that I
Okay.
could send to you.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah.
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 But I don't think it's anything that they've been doing repair affair for about 20 years. So they have it really down to a science in terms of being able to harness the people power to actually do something that makes a home more habitable and improves the value for the homeowner. So I'll send you the summary. I think that they're also trying this year to do primarily outdoor work because of COVID. But so my sense of it is there's a lot of outdoor exterior painting and yard work.
Okay.
But it should be fun, actually. And they will serve lunch. Always important.
I've always hated painting, so maybe I can do some raking or hoeing or something.
Yeah. As a volunteer, you can say, no, I'm not going to do that job. I'd rather do this other one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you all would like to cover? Mac, anything you wanted to share from your end?
No, I think the main thing, like for Henry on the mentoring, would be maybe just to go one morning with some other people, see if it's a fit. I know Repair Affair, we've almost always cleaned up yards that bushes are overgrown or houses are overgrown with vines and things like that. And then sometimes it's repairing a set of steps that are basically rotting out or have already fallen in. But different people do different things, but so much of it is yard work. So when you leave, it really looks way different than when you showed up. And that's what's very helpful for the neighbors in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, we're happy to have time with you all today and appreciate you investing time to learn more about service above self, and look forward to
Miranda
working with you on
Construction
projects.
Miranda Construction would be a good one to think about, a habitat house. Because the last house we did, there were 2 contractors who actually brought some of their own employees to help us get started correctly and gave us the scut work. So that's another possibility.
Absolutely.
Actually, Jeremy, it was Realm Construction.
It wasn't?
The last one we did, I worked on, I know Bill Receiver was involved in it, so.
How long ago was that?
5 or 6 years ago. It's been a
Yeah.
while. It's the first one we'll do, since then. That's
And
how I got the name.
there may be a Habitat House this coming year. I think there's a request to be part
There
of
is a
one.
request, yeah. I'm not
Steve,
saying-
the last one was on Xavier, which is down there in Portland, just off of 22nd Street, I want to say. It was a funny little
Yeah.
dead end street, and the house backed up to the wall of the Catholic church that faced out.
Yeah, it's right there next to the Family Dollar.
Yep, that's right.
So that'd be a good one,
Definitely.
Jeremy.
Yeah, well, keep me posted. Our model here is building forward and giving back. And we do quite a bit with the community and various organizations throughout the year. I think we just moved into a new office in Shelby Park, and we joined the neighborhood association there. And we've had quite a lot of volunteer outings already from our organizations going out and doing stuff in the neighborhood. So if there's a Habitat House, I'm sure we could rally behind them.
Yeah. Where are you in Shelby Park?
We are on Kentucky and Florida.
Great.
So Jeremy, was that the property that way back part of the brick building part was Ohio Valley Bag and Burlap, and then it was added on the steel building, and then there was a cabinet company?
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
How did you know all that?
It's like the old Sears.
Because at Burnham, I used to get unburlap. So when we dug plants out of the nursery, you would burlap them and then move them. And that was the Ohio Valley Bag and Burlap.
Oh my gosh.
Presses.
Louis Village.
I didn't know about that. I know it was a denim factory at the very beginning, and I know most recently it was classic cabinets. So I'm assuming we're talking about the same building. But anybody that wants to come check it out is welcome anytime. Let me know. It's we totally renovated the place. It's pretty cool.
Sounds
Great
neat.
location.
Hey,
Yeah, we're-
Jeremy, that might be a great business after hours location. You might
Oh, yeah.
mention it to one of the club execs that, sometimes we'll have a after hours gathering, and ideally at a Rotarian's place of business. So that
Yeah,
might be
it's
cool.
Perfect for that. Yep.
Yeah.
We're finishing up a project at Slugger Field with Miranda Construction right now. So,
Oh, yeah.
As I said, Louis Village.
Mhm.
sure does.
All right. Well, we'll give you 5 minutes back. So thanks
Thanks,
for being
everybody.
with us today.
Thank you, Alice.
It's
Good
great
job.
seeing everybody.
All
All
right,
right.
So-
And I'll
Everybody take
send
care.
that to you, Henry.
all right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.